Jake didn't know. The USB would change everything, but someone else did, and from the very beginning, they were already watching him. They looked at him like he didn't belong, not because he was weak, not because he lacked skill, but because he noticed things others ignored, things they didn't want him to see. The office went quiet the moment he walked in, not the kind of quiet that feels peaceful, the kind that feels wrong, heavy, uncomfortable. No one greeted him, no one smiled. Some didn't even look at him directly, but he could feel it. Their attention, their judgment. A whisper broke the silence. "He's still here?" Another voice followed. "I thought he would quit already." Jake kept walking, but his steps slowed for just a second. Why did they expect him to quit? He sat down at his desk and opened his laptop, trying to focus. But something didn't feel right. Not the work, not the environment. Something deeper. Then he saw Daniel, leaning back in his chair, watching him, smiling. "You're still trying?" Daniel said. The tone wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive, but it was confident. Too confident. Jake didn't respond, but a question stayed in his mind. Why did Daniel sound so sure? A notification appeared on his screen. New email. Jake clicked it. Nothing. Empty. He frowned. Who sent the email? And why was it gone? "Jake," his boss called. "Meeting. Now." The conference room felt colder than usual. Everyone was already there, waiting, watching. "Who made this report?" the boss asked. Silence filled the room. Then someone spoke. "Jake did." Jake looked up calmly. "That's not correct." The boss turned the screen toward him. Jake stepped closer. The numbers were wrong. Not slightly wrong. Completely wrong. He scrolled through the file. Stopped. Looked again. These weren't mistakes. Someone had changed them. "I didn't write this," Jake said. Daniel crossed his arms. A small smile appeared on his face. Why wasn't he surprised? The boss closed the file. "Fix it." That was it. No questions, no discussion, no chance to explain. Just blame. Jake returned to his desk and opened the file again. Scroll, scroll, stop. File history. There it was. Unedited. Timestamp. 2:13 a.m. User. Daniel. Jake leaned back slowly. Why was Daniel working at 2 a.m. tan? Alone. He continued checking. More edits, more changes. But something didn't match. Jake leaned closer to the screen, studied the details. The formatting, the structure, the logic. "This isn't his style," he whispered. If it wasn't Daniel, then who else touched the file? Jake opened deeper system logs, hidden activity, something most people would never check. Another user ID appeared. Not a name, a code. X, 47. Jake froze. Daniel wasn't alone. He closed the laptop slowly. This wasn't just sabotage anymore. This was something bigger. That evening, Jake followed Daniel, carefully, keeping his distance. Daniel didn't go home. Instead, he crossed the street and entered a small cafe. Jake paused outside, watching through the glass. Who was Daniel meeting? After a few seconds, Jake stepped inside. He sat at a table behind them, pretending to look at his phone, but his eyes stayed focused. Daniel wasn't alone. A man in a dark coat sat across from him. His face was partially hidden. They didn't talk much. Their voices were low, controlled. Why so quiet? If this was just a normal meeting, then it happened. Daniel reached into his bag, pulled something out, placed it on the table. Ushp. Jake's eyes locked on it instantly. This was it. The other man picked it up without hesitation. No questions, no surprise. What was inside that USB? Jake slowly lifted his phone, turned on the camera. Click. The man in the coat paused, turned slightly. Jake looked down immediately. His heart started beating faster. Did they notice him? A moment of silence. Then, they continued talking. Jake exhaled slowly. How many times had Daniel done this before? Jake stood up first and left the cafe. He walked faster than usual, but didn't look back. That night, Jake opened his laptop again. System locks, file transfers, access records, and then he found it. A massive data transfer. Timestamp. 2:13 a.m. The same time as the edits. Jake stared at the screen. So the report wasn't the real target. The data was, he opened another log, tracing the path. Daniel. Then X47. Then an external transfer. Jake's breathing slowed. Daniel wasn't in control. He was just a piece of something bigger. Then suddenly, a notification appeared. Unknown access detected. Jake froze. Someone else was inside the system. Right now, he checked the activity. Location. Internal. User. Unknown. Jake stood up slowly and looked around his apartment. Silence. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered, "Hello?" A voice spoke, low, cold. "Stop." Jake didn't move. How did they get his number? If you want to stay alive, stop. The call ended. Jake stared at his phone. That wasn't a warning. That was a message. They knew. Slowly, he turned back to his laptop. A new file had appeared. He didn't download it. He didn't create it. But it was there. Project Collapse. Who sent this? Jake clicked the file. The screen loaded. Folders. Plans. Timelines. Then, a list. Names. Jake scanned quickly. Employees. Managers. Executives. Some of them were marked in red. What did the red names mean? He scrolled further. Final phase. Internal removal. Jake leaned back in his chair. His breathing became slower, heavier. Was he on that list? He typed his name. Jake. Search result. Found. Highlighted. Red. Silence filled the room. Jake closed the laptop slowly. The next morning, the office looked the same people, the same silence, but something had changed. Jake, he wasn't confused anymore. He wasn't unsure. He knew the truth, and the truth was dangerous. In the hallway, Daniel was waiting. "You think you know something?" Daniel said. Jake stepped closer. "I know enough." Daniel smiled. Slowly, carefully. Was he testing him or warning him? "Then you should be afraid." Daniel walked past him, but then he stopped, just for a second, and whispered, "You're already too late." Jake didn't turn around, but his expression changed, because now he understood. They weren't hiding anymore. They were moving faster. The plan had already started, and he was already inside it. That night, Jake opened the file again. Project Collapse. Now it was clear. This wasn't sabotage. This was elimination. And he was one of the targets. Narrator. Slow. Intense. Someone was planning something behind his back. And now, there was no way out. But the real question is, can Jake expose the truth before it's too late? Or will he disappear, just like the others?